Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Now firstly, apologies for the slightly clickbaity title and thumbnail, but it's true. If you perfect this technique, then you will be quicker, that is guaranteed. Now I've wanted to make this video for a while, but I didn't know how it would look, so I'm just going to wing it, so you'll have to bear with us. Now we've all heard the saying, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. What's that about? Well, I always thought it came from some racing movie, but apparently it comes from the Navy SEALs. And essentially what they're saying there is, take your time, do the job properly, and you'll get the best end result. Well, that fits in nicely with sim racing as well. All we want to do in this tutorial is wind things back, be a bit smoother, and we'll go quicker, i.e. a better end result. But before we get into it, we'll just talk briefly about how the car works and what happens when you accelerate, brake, and steer. Now, when you accelerate, all of the weight is transferred to the rear of the car, meaning the suspension compresses, the rear tyres are pushed into the road surface, meaning you've got more grip at the rear. The opposite, when you brake, all of the weight is transferred forward, the front suspension compresses, front tyres pushed into the road surface, more grip at the front. When you steer to the right, all of the weight is transferred to the left, and when you steer to the left, all of the weight is transferred to the right. But cars only like to do one thing at one particular time. They either like to accelerate, brake, or steer. If you add steering into the braking or acceleration phase, then you need to make some compromises. And that's where being really smooth with your inputs will pay dividends. Now, I thought the best way to demonstrate this would be by jumping into a car on a simulator. And I've chosen the Global Mazda on iRacing, but you can do this with any car on any simulator. And we're going to do a couple of drills which you can do at home, then you can take that from the practice what we're doing here onto the track. So the first drill that we're going to do, it just involves us driving relatively slowly and braking super hard. So we're going to take the Mazda up to the red line in first gear, and we're going to brake really, really hard and bring the car to a stop. And I want you to pay attention what happens to the car when we're braking. The front end dips down, the front suspension compresses, but when we come to a stop, the suspension will decompress, go back to its natural state, but you'll see the car bounces up. The front of the car bounces up, and that's what we want to avoid, because when you're braking, when your car bounces up, that means you've got less grip on the front tyres than you would normally have. So I'll just demonstrate that now. So we're just going to accelerate red line in first gear, and then we're going to brake hard, and we're going to hold the brake and watch the front of the car spring back up. You can see there, that's exaggerated because we're coming to a complete stop. You wouldn't normally be coming to a complete stop when you're racing. But essentially, that's what happens when you release the brake. And you'll see it bounces up. When I say release the brake, I mean release the brake completely. Now what we want to be doing in this drill is we want to be bringing the front of the car up smoothly and preventing that there. So now we can start practicing. So we accelerate in first gear, and just before the car comes to a stop, we're just going to release the pedal smoothly. So we're braking and then just release the pedal there. You see, it's still bounced up, but not as much. And if we didn't come to a stop, then it wouldn't have bounced up at all. We'll do that one more time. Just before it comes to a stop, we're just going to release the brake. Now, when you've done that, when you get to the point where you feel that you can release the brake, then you can do it again, you can brake, but before you stop, just release it, and you'll see there's no spring up there at all. The suspension is decompressing. Yes, every shock absorber has a damper, which stops the shock absorber springing back up really quickly. But what you can do, you can be the extra damper with your brake pedal by releasing it smoothly. That just gives an extra level of damping, so it then rises up back to its natural position nice and smoothly. So we'll do that again. So we're going to brake, and then off nice and gently. You see how smooth that is? If you look at the brake trace, it'll be nice and smooth, nice and linear. Well, it should be. I can't see it. Hopefully it is. And just do that a few times, just till you get a feel for what it's like to release the brake pedal nice and smoothly. So that's drill number one. Be really, really smooth with your brake pedal. Now, drill number 2 follows on from that, but we're going to be going a little bit quicker. So if you do have iRacing, you're on the skid pan, well, you can move across to the 140. Or so there's 110, 120, 130. So to the right-hand side of the 140 line. If you don't have iRacing, well, you can practice this on a track like Monza, the final turn at Monza, where it's nice and wide and sweeping. Now, I want you to accelerate second gear. And I want you to be flat out on the rev limiter and keep your left tyres on the white line on the left-hand side there. Now, I want to try and hold the car in a position here. I'll try and hold my steering where it doesn't move, so you can see my steering's not moving. If I release the brake pedal now, it'll start to turn in. I'm not turning anymore. And that is because the weight of the car has been transferred forward because the car is decelerating. Now, we nearly hit the centre circle there. Not quite. But the weight of the car has been transferred forward, which means there's more grip on the front tyres, so they turn better. Now, we'll do that one again. So we'll try and find this number where it is. That's 130. So it's this one. So we accelerate up to the red line in second gear. And again, just when we let go of the accelerator, the front of the car will dip slightly. I'm not going to adjust my steering. Just moves down slowly, and then the car starts to turn in. Again, we're not going to quite hit the center circle. No. But what if we add a little bit of brake? Well, that will add more weight to the front tires. Let's find this 140 marker. That's 130. Here we go. 140. So when we brake slightly, and that just transfers a little bit more weight to the front tyres, giving us more grip. And in theory, it should make a tighter turn. So we'll do exactly the same again. So red line in second gear. I'm not going to adjust my steering once we've got the car where we need to be. And then we're just going to brake a little bit. See how much tighter that turns in. And we're not braking much there. And there's the centre circle. So we dramatically reduced the turning arc of the vehicle just by adding a small amount of brake. Now we'll do that again. Now you can exaggerate that a bit more by braking a little bit harder, or obviously you can make it a little bit more gradual by braking less. So we'll just brake a little bit harder. So rev limiter, steering locked. There you can see. Really helps the car rotate. Now, what's the point of that, you may ask? Well, if we're approaching a turn, a lot of people accelerate and then they will brake, they'll release, then they will turn. What's better is by transferring the weight forward and keeping the weight over the front tyres as we're turning in. This is also known as trail braking. It's a really important skill to learn when you are sim racing. So we'll accelerate, and then we'll brake, and we'll turn in, and then we'll release, and then we can get on the gas. It just gives us a little bit more rotation. So we'll do that again. So we'll brake, and then off the brakes, nice and smooth. So we'll brake, turn, apex of the corner, accelerate. So brake, turn, apex of the corner, then we can accelerate. Really easy couple of drills just to get a feel for how the car behaves when you are adding just a small amount of brake. And as I mentioned, this can be done on any simulator, in any car. Well, not any car. You know, some cars have much harder suspension. Some cars really don't have any compression on the front suspension. You know, you brake hard and, you know, the suspension is almost fixed. So you need a car which does move, just so you can understand what the car's doing when you're applying these techniques. So what we want to try and avoid is this pop-up there. Now I'm going to show you a couple of examples now where I'm using this technique where I'm braking hard, but then I'm bleeding off the brakes nice and gradually, keeping the weight of the car over the front tyres as I turn in, just to help me get that rotation, just to make sure that the front tyres have got the grip they need. They're buried into the road surface. So this is the first example. You'll see the brake trace isn't that linear. However, there is braking on at all times. So I'm braking there at the 3 cones, and I'm braking all the way to the apex, and you'll see there the trace. At no point am I releasing the brake until I'm at the apex and I can get on the gas. And you'll see there's no real gap between braking and acceleration at that point. And then we're nice and tight on the exit of the turn. Good turn number 1. Now here's an example where we're not going to be using that technique. All I'm thinking about doing here is braking as late as I can, getting the car stopped. I'm not thinking about trail braking to the apex at all. So we're going to be braking at the 3 cones as usual. Braking there goes up to 90%, and you'll see here as we move it on, with the brake pedal just drops off there. You can see the line just drops off, and as we move it forward, we've got to wait forever to get back on the gas. You'll see the gap between the end of braking and the start of acceleration. It's much, much bigger than it was when we were trail braking. And as a result, we are, well, 3/10 down already at this point. So there we go. It's not the best example of how to do this, but it's the best I could do. Jump in any simulator. It doesn't have to be on iRacing, and just focus on the brake for now. That's all we need to be doing. There's lots and lots more that you can do with regards to being smooth with your steering and accelerator, but just think about the brake for now, and I guarantee you'll go a lot quicker. So please let me know down below in the comments how you get on. I see lots of people rushing in, braking hard, and not thinking about transferring the weight to get the car settled before the turn. If this does help, please remember, leave a like. As always, thanks for watching. See you later. Cheers.